Lux Corner.
Pull it out, put it in. I discharged it.
So you're adding all these parcels, the yellow?
Nothing.
Is that what it is?
It's never anything much. You know what I mean?
Our adjacent right-of-ways are added, and adjacent right-of-way are added to the area by this amending resolution. 27 parcels.
Colin, when Adam comes on, will you, if you have to let him in, would you, is he there? Okay. Oh, he is. Hey.
Try not to deny.
So it is 4:30 on July 29th. Let's go ahead and get the RDC meeting ready and started. Has everyone had a chance to review the minute meetings from last month?
Yes.
Motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. Is there anything that we need to amend to the agenda at all? All right. Next would be opening the bid packs for 314 Fairview and then the industrial park. There weren't any, so
There were no bids on.
So basically what that does at this point is we'll have this statutory 30-day period within which we're not allowed to negotiate for those properties. But once that period has ended, we are then able to. So similar to the Achiever project, there would likely be an executive session to actually negotiate through those.
I'd say to this point, the two prospects that we've had conversations with have actually reached out to additional partners. So I think, and they reached out to those partners a little later in this timeline. So I think what it created for them is a possibility to slightly change maybe their initial plans to think a little bigger. So I think that we're going to continue those conversations, obviously, to that end. Fairview offers us an opportunity. We have some right-of-way to fix on that property. The parcel today owns half of the road, technically. So I think in the original way that this was platted and the city limits extended, this offers us the opportunity to fix that. So they don't own half the city street in that area.
All right. I think next is Adam, if you're on and you can hear us. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to try to turn up your volume. All right, go ahead. Is it coming to?
I wonder if I can turn that up.
All right, let's try one more time.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, that's better.
Awesome. Hey, you looking good today, Colin? Hey, appreciate everybody. Let me join virtually. I want to see if I can share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So I'm here for a couple of items tonight. One is I wanted to introduce the expansion of the industrial park allocation area. It's really an enlargement. It's an addition of parcels to that existing area. This has been reviewed with the RDC's attorney as well. And in your packet, you'll see the full tax impact statement ahead of schedule for this expansion resolution as well. I'll defer to the mayor and Colin on sort of the project and area specifics, but as far as the actual tax impact statement, I wanted to do a quick page turn of what is the purpose of this document, where it fits in the approval process, as well as what is it's intended to do. So by law, this tax impact statement is required as part of a new or an amendment to a TIF area in the state of Indiana in 10 days of the public hearing. It is drafted for your review, and we will make it available to the all overlapping units once we know the date of the public hearing, which is tentatively assumed to be at the August meeting. As the approval step works through enlargement, this resolution will go through the Planning Commission, Council, and then back to the Redevelopment Commission. And this tax impact statement outlines what the impact to the other taxing units, an amendment of this TIF, and potential capturing of project values within this expended TIF would impact to their budgets, levies, tax rates, etc. So you can navigate throughout here. What I would point out is the majority of this is complying with statute. It does outline both the existing and then the new parcels that would be pulled into the area. Additionally, it looks at the actual impact at the unit level. So it looks at the city of Tipton, the school corporation, the county. It looks at how their rates are today before the TIF, how their rates would be impacted, both from a tax rate and levy perspective, with or without the involvement. And it goes through a variety of different scenarios to look at what would happen if the project happened in a TIF or not in a TIF, what the ultimate value for them would be. And that's all computed here. So essentially, the total revenue impact to the RDC is about $353,000 based on this illustrative project. And the impact across all of the taxing units is significantly less, about 9,790 as estimated. So still a major net benefit to be within the TIF, assuming that it passes the but-for test. So with that said, I'll just, like I said, wanted to kind of touch on kind of what the purpose of the report is, what was included. All of my contact information is in there as well, both for the members or the public. We're sharing this early. It'll be made, the final version will be made available to all of the overlapping units 10 days prior to the public hearing, to the extent that the RDC, Plan Commission, Council advances it on their agendas. Any questions I can answer for you all tonight with respect to the tax impact statement?
Can you just talk a little bit about the overlapping units again? So I see it says that, so for the school, is it saying right now we're capturing about $86,000? And you're saying that wouldn't change, we just wouldn't see any increase to that. Is that correct?
That's right. So at the school level, if the hypothetical project here in the report, if it's captured for the period of 25 years, basically the school would not see really any change to their levy per se or their tax rate. And then at the end of the TIF life, on any of the captured AD being passed through, you would see a reduction in the kind of levy-based funds tax rates at that time. Where there would be positive impact to the school during the life of the TIF is if the school ever had a referendum rate, that would be immediately benefit. That's not capturable by the TIF. That's good for planning purposes. And then secondly, it's really the cumulative rate funds and the debt service funds. The non-max levy funds would be another term that you may be familiar with, that actually have sort of a quantifiable impact during the life of the TIF, because those are the ones that sort of derive their levy based on assessed value. So any of the school's levy-based funds that are max levy funds would really not be directly affected. There is always a degree of which there's a circuit breaker component that all the units will participate in, but that long-term gets resolved at the dissolvement. I would also say, just for good transparency, all of this assumes the but-for test is in place and applied, meaning that this hypothetical $10 million project is only possible due to the TIF and the RDC's intervention. Certainly, if the $10 million would have developed without the RDC or TIF intervention, then those would not have passed the but-for test and should pass through the base.
Any other questions on the tax side of things? So just to give a little additional context for this. So I think from all the interest that we've seen in a lot of these properties that we would typically refer to as industrial or commercial in this industrial park area, we've seen a lot of these properties that have either been put for sale, heard from the property owners that they're interested in selling potentially. So I think with the potential that we're seeing in the industrial park right now, obviously with offering these properties that the RDC owns, we're looking at it as kind of a snowball type effect. So as we see development happening in the green fields of the industrial park, it could lead to future development in those other properties, revitalization of those properties, additions to those properties. So we're just trying to be proactive and be prepared for that so that we can really start to leverage that going forward. So the next one up is the resolution 2026-06, which is the declaratory resolution for this, the annexation or enlarging of the TIF district.
Personally, I think it's a good idea just because with the steel parts plant out there, if whatever, say that there was a potential prospect comes in, then we would be able to recognize the TIF funds from that immediately as opposed to having to go through this discussion at that point.
Yes, and so it would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but it would need to be added into the TIF district prior to any of that development or renovation or whatever happening there in order for us to actually capture that.
That's right. The declaratory sets the base in the state of Indiana, so this action sets the base here. So and it sets it back. So the declaratory being considered tonight means that the base value for any parcels being considered as a TIF area or a TIF area amendment, enlargement such as this one, it would be of January. It will base off of the January 1st, 2026 assessments. I should also say, just for completeness, that holds steady, even if the final adoption and action doesn't come back to the RDC for confirmation into 2027, just to be clear.
I mean, schools don't like TIF districts. They're not kind to us. And I know we wouldn't lose money, but might not be able to capture it anymore. And the school is really struggling right now. So that's kind of hard for me to swallow, I guess, just with everything that schools in general are going through. So,
And I think one of our hopes here, and obviously nothing is ever guaranteed when you're talking about prospective development, but if we can increase the number of jobs that are available here through these types of commercial and industrial developments, there is a hope that that'll also create demand for housing that will lead to more housing, allow developers to see that there is that need there that could add in new students so that they get whatever that dollar figure amount is per student the state decides.
right.
So there is a hope that this sort of development does spur future residential.
Yeah, at least from my opinion, I'll not speak for the rest of the commission, but I do appreciate you continue to bring up the pass-through. I do think that is the topic this body has discussed for a lot of years. We've never been in, I think, a financial position that would provide a lot of benefit, but this, through success, I think for us to continue to consider the pass-through when success is achieved, that should be strongly considered, given, to your point, the fiscal impact of school scene is devastating.
Is that available for this sort of TIF, or is that just residential, the pass through?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, is that all TIF? has the opportunity to do a pass-through agreement with the school corporation.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I know the other tips that we've done haven't really, sorry.
Yeah, we've seen pilot, we've seen pass-throughs, we've seen collaborative agreements, we've seen even recently sort of specified either restricted donations or sort of pilots that benefit or participate there. So there's a lot of vehicles as the redevelopment and the TIF start to be effective at generating new economic development that otherwise but for would not be in the community. There's some really great examples of communities that have initiated a lot of TIF districts in the 1990s. They're towards the end of their life. So you have school districts right now that are preparing their TIF those communities' TIF districts are actually coming to their expiration. So you have situations where by 2027 and 2028, within a budget kind of planning period, they're seeing massive amounts of assessed value being passed through, which is in their case helpful because it's going to give them an opportunity to kind of drive down their tax rate, create new school debt levy opportunities, et cetera. So, but those were kind of cases where a lot of that RDC work happened in the late 90s or early 2000s. So they're just kind of on they're toward more of the tail end of this versus the front end. But that's really what the TIF is intended to do is generate assessed valuation that otherwise would not be there. It's intended to not take away any operating dollars that are flowing to the school in the city today, create an economic development tool to attract and create that new job and assessed value growth. And then eventually, once that infrastructure is repaid, essentially pass through so that the services and the base providers, the units of government serving that area can have that part of their tax base.
I'm looking at the employment impacts. That doesn't seem like a whole lot of job creation there.
Yeah, in the tax impact statement, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me just trying to be super conservative because it was an illustrative project, so I didn't want, that is all of this illustrative numbers, so I wanted to be super conservative. State law requires that we provide an estimate of job creation and salary growth, but we didn't have a specific project count, so I wanted to be conservative.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the potential area that we could be looking at long-term in the industrial park, I think there is quite a bit of potential for pretty big employment opportunities. Every development is a little bit different. Every company, their needs are a little bit different. You could see as few as 5 people in a 50,000 square foot facility, or you could see a couple hundred, several hundred in a 100,000 square foot facility. So I think it's just a matter of the types of developments that we are trying to attract. And then obviously there's the wage component of it too. Are we trying to drive high wage jobs, or are we just trying to go after a lot of jobs? So there is that piece of it as well.
Five years from now, that'd be a big boom for the schools.
Yeah, 25 years, yeah.
You still be on the school board?
I hope not. I don't know if anyone should be on there that long.
So I think at this point, if there's a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-06.
So moved.
All those in favor?
You want to do a second? Second. Or were you motion?
No, sorry. My bad. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
And then we will try to set that public hearing. Do we need a motion to set the public hearing for the August meeting?
Yeah, I think if it's just gonna be your normal meeting, we can go ahead and get that probably in the record. That's good. It's not required, but I think it'll be good if we know that date.
So it'd be August 19th at 4:30. So then I'll make a
I
motion.
think that's how we have it as written. Yeah, August 19th at 4:30, yep. So then we'll prepare the actual notices and make sure that all of the units, it'll be the same version copy. We'll make sure they get those actually physically mailed as well to comply with the process. And if there's any questions, again, my contact information's in there, and we can make sure that this is, we address any questions we get. Otherwise, again, just recapping the process. Today was the initiation. It'll go through a variety of other board approvals, and then it'll come back to RDC as well. So I appreciate that update. And if there's any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a good rest of your agenda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
All right, so who made the motion for the resolution? Did we go with Keegan and the second by Dan? Is that what- Okay.